You're gonna need a bigger boat. Why so serious? Roll out. I am Iron Man. This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the In Session Film Podcast.
Welcome to this podcast review for July 28th, 2025. I am JD Duran. I am co-hostless this evening as Brendan has not been able to see the film that we're about to talk about. So I ventured off into the internet, and actually I didn't really have to go that far because she also just talked about Fantastic Four with us. So joining me once again is the great Wonder Meg. Meg, welcome back to the show.
A long time no talk.
I know, it's been forever since we've had a conversation. Glad that we could get together once again, this time talking about the Japanese psychological thriller from Kiyoshi Kurosawa. It is called Cloud. This is a film that premiered at Venice last year, if I'm not mistaken, and was the Japanese entry at the 97th Academy Awards. It was not nominated, but for reasons we'll talk about, maybe it should have been considered a little bit more. The film has gotten great reviews. It is slowly making the rounds. I think it just had its New York release, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
And is starting to get out more and more. I think it's getting to more theaters even this weekend. I believe I did read that earlier. Before we get into the film, I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with Kiyoshi Kurosawa at all, his films, or was this your first foray into his movies?
It's actually my first one, which is pretty exciting to me because I have a lot of great ones of his to now watch as well. I watched it with my boyfriend, and he brought up Cure, I think it's called.
Cure, yeah.
Yeah, and there was another one he brought up. I don't remember the name, but I was like, oh, I love jumping into a filmmaker's newest film and then looking at their back catalog. So, what a film to start on, I think.
Yeah, what a film to start on, this one, as we'll talk about. I'm really looking forward to his other film, I think also coming out this year. It came out international last year, Serpent's Path, which I also heard great things about. Cure from 1997 is the other one that I have seen, but I haven't seen too many of his films. So like you, I need to do some more homework. I have a lot of homework that I need to get into, but I'm very excited to dig into his movies a little bit more. I guess with that said, are you ready to kind of jump into this one?
Let's do it.
Okay, as we noted, this is written and directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. It stars Masaki Suda, Kotone Furukawa, Daiken Okudara, and forgive me for butchering those names. I will stop there. There are certainly others that come and go throughout the film, but those are our three major players that we'll focus on for this conversation. If you're not familiar with Cloud, it is about a young man named Yoshi who resells goods online and finds himself at the center of a series of mysterious events that put his life at risk. Okay, with all that said, let's get into this. Meg, what did you think about Cloud?
I just have to say, I've been waiting to watch this movie since I went to TIFF last year, and I kept missing the screenings because there's one still image from this movie that they constantly use in the promo, and it's him holding the gun, and it's like plastic wrap behind him, and I was like, I have to know the context of this shot and what leads up to it, and Dude, I love this movie so much. It is like ever since I saw it, it's been my top of the year. And everyone I talk to, I'm like, you guys have to watch this because it's so topical. Like I don't know in your world how prevalent like reselling is, but I'm a collector.
Okay.
And so in the collecting world, resellers and scalpers are like just the
Most
scum of the
prominent.
earth. Yeah,
Yeah.
the scum
Yeah.
of the earth people. And I've
Mhm.
been waiting for a movie that kind of explores how exploitive reselling is, because there's so much different kinds of reselling. Like in this film, he starts out reselling miracle therapy equipment, and if you've ever bought anything online, you know that anything that has a catchy title, all caps, great graphics, is probably the worst thing to buy because they're
Sure.
covering for something. So
Yeah.
I was really happy that he chose to do reselling as the topic, and how uh you can be anonymous online, but when that anonymity goes, it's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, I am with you. I don't know that space as well as you do, but I've dabbled into the whole reselling space
Mhm.
on both ends of the spectrum, whether I was
Yeah,
selling
same.
or buying. I recently had to sell my hockey equipment, my goalie equipment, which was a heartbreaker.
Oh.
I have terrible knee issues these days. And so I had to stop playing. I had a second major surgery, had
Mhm.
to learn to skate out. So now I still get to play, but I have to skate out now. So I had to sell my goalie equipment. It was disheartening. But even as I was selling it, because I've been on the other end of it, I tried to be as clear and vivid about the details and my intentions
Yeah.
with it, because I didn't want anyone to think that I was Yoshi, if you will.
Yeah.
Because you're right, this is a blistering look at the ramifications of digital anonymity and disconnect as the film gets into like this fascinating dichotomy of being online and doing things online, in this case, selling stolen items, and the real retribution that follows in the aftermath.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a slow burn, which, from my understanding of Kurosawa, is very Kurosawa. But I love how that kind of upends itself when you get to the final act. You noted how the poster shows Yoshi on the poster. He's holding a gun,
Mhm.
and it's murky, it's cloudy for all intents and purposes here. And I love how that denotes both ends of that spectrum, because when you look at the poster, it is kind of like he has like this stoic, banal look to him. It doesn't look like a Jason Bourne movie necessarily,
No.
but he's also holding a gun. So it elicits that maybe there's some action to be had. And there is, it turns out. And it is crazy when you get to that at the end of the film. And I love that juxtaposition. I think it works really well here, even if it's a bit goofy tonally. But I think the film earns that because of its commentary and how brazen it is with what it's trying to say. And it gets kind of silly at the
It
end. But I,
does.
I love that the film is willing to go there. Like there's a great ambition to it. That's fantastic. And when you're dealing with something that for a lot of people is hefty, daunting, when I mean, you certainly know more than I do the people that engage in these activities. Maybe they think they can get away with it because of that anonymity and being
Mhm.
online. Nobody knows who I am. But the moment people find out, you know everyone knows the phrase.
Yeah.
You you F around, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the ethos of this film, but it's done in such an artful, creative, clever way that I think is really great. So I'm like you. I had a ball with this movie.
Yeah, I love how the film opens up, and it's slow, like you said, but there's a point to the slowness. It's
Yeah,
showing
yeah.
you how mundane Yoshi's life is. He works in like a t-shirt clothing factory, and he's good at his
Mm-hmm.
job, but
Mm-hmm.
and he's
Yeah.
even offered a raise at one point, a
Yep.
promotion, and he
Mm-hmm.
turns it down because he's like, "Ah, that doesn't fit me. I've got something else on the side." Anyways, he's reselling, and I I feel like it's so important to note that, like, uh, he has he has a small apartment, 1 bedroom, very it's teeny tiny,
Mhm.
and he's got a wonderful girlfriend, and obviously they want a future for each other, but it's not really working with the apartment that he
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
So he's like, "All right, I need to start making more money." So, side hustle culture is so prevalent anymore. Like everyone has a side hustle, whether it's
Mhm.
reselling, a podcast, anything to
Yeah.
try to to try to break away from the mundanity of like our everyday life. And
Yeah.
the film really excels in showing you how kind of boring he is. He goes to work and he
Yeah.
resells, and he's constantly refreshing, constantly looking for another new deal to flip. Um, and I appreciate those slow moments because at the end, the film is like the final act is like a total culmination of all of those little awkward, slow moments, especially
Mhm.
between characters that I've watched it twice. So, watching it a second time with the context of what happens in the end, it
Mm.
really helps you note,
Oh,
like,
yeah, I'm
"Oh,
sure.
that
Yeah.
person looked at him a little bit funny,
Yeah.
in this scene and, or said something a little funny to him in this scene,
Mm.
and, the final act is what really kind of just blows it all up, and I appreciated that it starts out so slow, and it's like a gradual
Yeah.
ramp up, and then it's like, boom, is right in your face what happens,
Mhm.
and uh, I appreciated that they just showed that because I feel like a lot of the times there's such a push to go to, like, the big thrilling pieces, and
Mhm.
you really get a sense that he's an ambitious guy, but, kind of ambitious for all the wrong reasons. He's just kind of
Yeah.
greedy.
Yeah, I think that's why the tonal shifts of the film are vital to its success. I mean, taking its time to establish Yoshi as this quiet, stoic individual, as you're talking about, I do think is important because we do see that because of his personality, he does thrive in that digital anonymity.
Mhm,
He's able to thrive in that space because of that. But it takes these dark shifts when he, when that ambition become like it starts to kind of slowly take over him. But you
mhm,
do see it even early on in Spades with like how he treats his girlfriend or how he treats
mhm.
his best friend that we see early on. Like he's kind of cold toward both of them.
Yes.
And it makes sense of his actions later on, especially when he has a few successes, which drives that ambition even further. And throughout the film, he just continues to de-evolve into this dark underbelly of I'm going to succeed at this regardless of the cost. And he doesn't care who he hurts along the way, which is ultimately what gives credence to the final act of the film, despite how violent and crazy it gets. But you understand why people react the way they do. And it becomes a bit farcical in the end, but I love
Mhm,
how Kurosawa depicts that visually speaking and in terms of the energy that he injects in the film. I mean, I did read a couple of reviews that talked about how messy that whole warehouse sequence is, but inside that messiness, I think is where the commentary kind of thrives.
yeah.
And it's also just a lot of fun. It's a jolt given everything that preceded it. And I love slow cinema. I don't know how you feel about it, but you give me a methodical, calculated movie, I am there all day. So I was taken aback. I think the film when it takes that shift, if you're engaged with it as we both were, it it does further heighten or give weight to why the film is making those formal choices, and why the film depicts the character the way that it does. I think it's really great. It's really engaging stuff.
Yeah, I love how they show him having, like, this false sense of, like, he's smarter. I think he thinks he's smarter than he actually is,
Yeah.
and, I feel like that's especially seen when he doesn't cover his tracks very well, because he's reselling and flipping items, buying them, not knowing their 100% total, authenticity, but
Hmm.
selling them regardless, and it gets
Yeah.
him in some situations that he totally is not equipped for.
Yeah.
He gets
Hmm.
too big for his own good, in
Yeah.
the film, and seeing, like, the downward spiral of this ambitious, optimistic guy at the beginning where he thinks he's finally struck gold. This is his way out of this small apartment. He's has a future for him. And even when he moves to that new apartment, it's a dual purpose. There's always a
Hmm.
dual purpose to what he does in the film. Um, it's more so like a weird warehouse that's like very sterile looking. It's not, it doesn't feel like a place where you would live necessarily.
Hmm.
Um, but I like how it shows that he goes from, like, these extreme highs of, uh, selling something, getting all of this, these new items to sell, getting this a new apartment, having a more solid relationship with his girlfriend, and then it just falls completely
Yeah.
apart,
Yeah.
and the final scene, of the, film, I was just it, like, leaves a pit in your stomach, and it's, like, almost,
Hmm.
like, I can't really describe it because it's just, like, the manifestation of greed,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
It's surreal. Yeah.
yeah, it's very surreal, and, I think his characterization in the film is my favorite part because, you see it online a lot, like, people just feeling emboldened by being anonymous, and
Yep.
taking advantage because, situations are anonymous, and,
Yep.
um, and seeing it put to screen in such a unique way, I was like, "Oh, wow, yeah, this is great
Yeah.
stuff." Um and also the way he treats people, in the film also was, another thing I put in my review was just, like, he burns so many bridges and then is somehow
Hmm.
still surprised when the
Yeah.
burnt bridges come back to bite him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
All the way up until the very end.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like he's, like, doesn't understand wwhy almost. He's like,
Yeah. He's completely oblivious. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's I think that's, more so because he's like, "Well, if I'm," because in reselling, it's people are like, "Well, if I don't do it, someone else is gonna do it anyways."
Hmm.
So, he probably feels I got that sense of like, "Oh, well, I might as well be the guy making money because if I don't, someone else out there is going to."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just interesting to me because I've resold stuff, like my own collectibles and stuff, and I always try to, like, sell it with like how you said with your equipment in mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
where I'm not gonna upcharge more
Yeah.
than what I paid for it,
Yeah.
because it's like, it just feels icky at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
there's some people out there that are fine with it, and I
They
really
just don't
liked how,
care.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
liked how Kurosawa showed that in this,
Yeah.
um,
No.
that everyone is greedy to an extent.
Yeah. He's extremely greedy, ready to be exploitative at every single turn. And to your point about his obliviousness, I love how there is attention to detail with that in the film with Yoshi. I do agree with you. And one element about that I find interesting, because you were talking about Yoshi's faux confidence that he has once he has a little bit of success. What's
Mhm.
interesting about the film is that a lot of his faux confidence is really built off of one major success that we see early on,
Mhm.
which allows him to get into this new apartment, makes these promises to his girlfriend. He feels like he's living large a little bit, has to hire this new assistant to help maintain this new business that he's doing. But what we come to see because of, again, to reiterate what you were saying, that he's not as good at this as he thinks that he is, because outside of that one major success, he mostly flounders here. There
Yeah.
might be a few other successes here and there because it's a slow burn. Time kind of escapes us. This is a film that might span a couple of months, but what we see on screen is the one big success, and then he mostly flounders the rest of the movie to the point where he doesn't really have much of a cash flow at the
Mm-mm.
end. And then his anonymity is also undermined to the point where people are starting to catch up to who he might be, which leads to some of that dramatic urgency at the end of the film that we were talking about. And I just love how the film toys with his identity and how it's masked by something that is kind of fleeting.
Mhm.
He had one great success, which ultimately leads to everything we see at the end. But he's actually not really good at this, and he's not great at covering his tracks, as you're talking about. And he's cold toward everyone that he comes across, which again goes to demonstrate the bitter indignancy that covers so much of this film, which again kind of, that all boils down to the thematic nucleus of the film and what this space is, and again how icky and like it kind of reminded me of Nightcrawler in that
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
I don't know if you thought about that at all, but like the way Nightcrawler kind of ends with none of this is good.
Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah,
of like
no,
that a little bit.
I agree. It's like the whole time you're watching it, you kind of want him to be successful because you always want someone to have their own agency as like as like someone in the workforce. Like
Sure.
no, you
Yeah.
want someone to be your own boss and successful on their own. So when I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna get into reselling, I had really no idea where the story was going. So you almost
Yeah. Yeah.
root for him a little
Yeah.
bit in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but quickly that gets changed. And a scene that I want to bring up is the one where he moves into his new place, and this is a little bit spoilery, but he moves into this new place and he is selling these handbags, like designer handbags,
Yeah.
and he has a conversation with his assistant, who I love. His assistant, is ride or
Oh,
die,
so
dude.
fun. One of my
He's
favorite
yeah,
characters of the year.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's great. But he's like, "Oh, do you know if they're real or not?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna sell them before I find out anyways." And you just kind of sit with that for a moment while he then lists all of them for like an
Yeah.
exorbitant price. And there's something that happens in the film where he has to end up going to the police, and the
Yeah.
police he's going to them for help, and the police officer's like, well, if you file a report, you're gonna have to like bring back one of those purses so we can like check that
Yeah.
out because it's fake. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, I sold them all, and that was really what heightens his paranoia. um and that is his paranoia is completely felt the rest of the film too.
Big
That's
time.
where
Yeah.
like
That was a
Glan
turning point for sure.
yeah, like you were like, "Oh, okay, well maybe this guy doesn't have all the best motivations."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that scene I think is probably my favorite because if you only ever watch that scene of the movie, you automatically kind of know where his ambitions lie and what his end goal is. He doesn't care about selling quality stuff. He just wants to make a quick buck. And it's like he's almost impersonating a successful person.
Yeah. Yeah.
In and he has really no idea how they got there and like the fail safes they put in place. So like, oh yeah, if I sold that a fake item, I'm covered or something. Like he has really no clue.
No, he has no clue at all. And you're right. That is a really vital scene to the film. Really shifts the perspective of Yoshi and who he really is and what his motives really are. And I do love the intersection of the Sano character, the assistant, I really love. I'm not necessarily a proponent of needing spin-offs to these kinds of movies, but I kind of want a Sano movie
Yeah, we
because
gotta know more about him. That guy is a
man,
cold-blooded
like
killer, dude.
the reveal of him at
Yeah.
the end of this film is bonkers.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's
Yeah.
so good. I
Yeah, like,
love it.
you're watching him, he's just, like, this quiet
Yeah.
guy, even, like, pushes away the advantage like, his, Yoshi's girlfriend, I think her name is Akiko, she, like,
Yeah.
tries to put the moves on him at one point, and he's like, "I can't do that."
Yeah. No, yeah.
Like, yeah, and, I love
Yeah.
how, like I said, ride or die he is for
Yeah.
Yoshi,
Yeah.
and it's so random because Yoshi is just some guy, you know? Like,
Yeah. Some
he's not
random. Yeah.
yeah, he's not, like, some, like, political figure, a celebrity, even a good reseller. He's just a random dude that hires
Yeah.
him, and what I love about his character is, like, his character is, like, the red flags, like, signaler, like, "Oh, hey, like, you see these comments online?" And
Yeah.
Yoshi's like, "Eh, whatever." And, like, he's like,
Yeah.
"Probably, you know, he brings it up for a reason, you should probably listen to him," but all of those go just, like, unnoticed to Yoshi, but, like, the entire movie, Sano's trying to, like, you
Yeah.
know, tell him, "Hey, dude, there's something like, we need to, pay a little bit more attention to what these people are
Yeah.
saying about you."
I do love that his motivation, speaking of Sano, it is a little ambiguous
Yeah.
because we're initially told, or he tells a story that he tried to move to Tokyo, it didn't work out well, moved back home, doesn't have much in terms of job opportunity. So he gets this assistant job, which creates that bond that you're talking about. But the reveals at the end of the film really put that story into a lot of question. I don't know if any of that is true, but it creates such a fascinating character. Like, this was probably not on the top of Kurosawa's mind, but as a dumb Western American, all I could think about was the Coen brothers. Like, that reveal
Mm,
was so Coen brothers coded. Like,
yeah.
it was incredible. And I'm a huge fan of the Coens. So I was like, that's when, and I was already completely hooked by this film, but that's when I really became the meme of the guy sitting forward in the chair. I'm like, okay, we're really going in a different direction here. And it's crazy what happens at the end. As we've been talking about. But Sano was at the center of it. It's not just Yoshi. It almost becomes Sano's movie in a way in those
Yeah,
last
they've got,
15
like,
minutes.
this really cool, like, relationship with each other where, like, they he knows what his boss is doing is, like, not good, but it's almost like and like you said, I would love to know more about him because I wanna know why he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Or, like, why he's
Yeah.
okay with, like, gray answers or the ambiguity of it all. Um, because, like, you want your boss, like, the person you're working for to have, like, a moral sound mind, but he's just, like it's almost the less he knows, the better, or, like, that's how he prefers it.
Yeah.
Um, and his character is great, and I also think his girlfriend's character is really good too, especially, watching it the second time. A lot of her
Mhm.
motivations stick out a lot more, and it makes that ending reveal, well, the end moments they have together just, like I almost had to, like, rewind it to watch that part again because I was just like, "Holy shit." Like, that's, like, my if I had to describe the
Yeah.
movie
It's
in
wow. Yeah.
anything, it's just like, "Holy shit, this movie."
Did she come off a little bit more, and I don't mean in terms of characterization, but
Mhm.
in terms of her personality, did she come off more superficial on the
Yeah.
second one? Okay. I was kind of wondering if that was the case, especially given those final reveals. That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, she's always pushing, like, for bigger, better, but in, like, a subtle way. It's not, like,
Yeah.
outright in your face, it's just like, "Oh, yeah, this apartment's small," and
Yeah.
then they get this new
Yeah.
apartment. Uh, yeah, she was really good in it. I don't think there's a character in this that I dislike. Um, I do wish we get a little bit more of their relationship kind of uh prior to him, you know, becoming, because it was almost like it was a secret in his life that he was reselling.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, he just makes it big, and she's just like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Um, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, if anything, I like the ambiguity, especially for the end, because I like, we're not going to spoil the end because you have to go in like not knowing,
Yeah.
but um, yeah, it just makes it that much better, I think.
I agree. I mean, it leaves you in a place that, again, I'll just say vaguely reminded me of the Coen brothers, one Coen
Hmm.
brothers movie in particular. But it does leave you in this space of uncertainty as it relates to how dangerous and murky this space is, the
Hmm.
reselling space, the online space, perhaps generally speaking, that digital anonymity, it gives people this power that they don't deserve, but
Hmm.
also they don't know what to do with. And it leads to real world ramifications a lot of the time. And I think the way this film ends, to leave it open ended, I'll say, again vaguely, I think gives power to that idea. Because I mean, what this film is exploring, there's no easy answers to any of it, and it is full of shady characters,
Yeah.
which is why I love that this is a film full of shady characters. There is nothing black and white about this movie at all.
Yeah.
But that's the strength of it, cinematically speaking, and what makes it fascinating. But that is to say, I agree with what you're saying about the ending. It's really great stuff.
Yeah, you know, like obviously the world, like reselling has its place in the world. A lot of the cool stuff I have for my collection I've gotten from buying secondhand.
Mm,
Uh and there's definitely a need for it, especially in a world where we're so we discard things way before their expiration date.
yeah,
Um, and what I really enjoyed is that they show him as just one person contributing to poor reselling practices, and it's hard to feel bad for him, even, you know, into the final moments of the film.
yeah,
And it doesn't hide the fact that reselling is a business that isn't victimless. There's
yeah,
always going to be someone that's taken advantage of, and there's always going to be people that are willing to take advantage. But
yep,
I think one of the main points that I really found from this film is that, like, if our everyday jobs were just more engaging, more profitable for the worker, and we had more things in our life where we didn't have to, like, you know, we didn't have to turn our hobbies into passion projects, side hustle things. Well, if there were more passion projects, less side hustle, we wouldn't have to resort to stuff like this. We wouldn't have to resort to trying to make the most money off of something and just doing it
yeah,
for the love of it. And that's really uh, at least what I kind of walked away from this, is because he was great at his job, he was liked at his job, he was
yep,
offered promotions at his
yep,
job, but he saw greener pastures reselling. Like you said, he made it big once and he
yeah,
just based his entire future off of it. And I think Kurosawa does best when he shows in the beginning of the film that he has such a mundane life, but then he has it all and he still wants more, you know?
yeah. And what does that say about capitalism
Yeah.
and societal structures? I mean, the idea that he could have lived a mundane life at this job, being promoted, he's going to get more money, but he feels like he's slowly dying.
Mhm.
Let me jump into this online space that is going to have more risk. There isn't any sort of safety net. If I fail, then I have nothing. And because of that, now I am further driven. Now I have to act in a way that makes sure that I succeed just so I can live my life. And there's going to be costs along the way. Like, I love how the film raises these questions, again, without really giving up any sort of answers. And I don't think it's necessarily condemning the reselling space in general as much as the film, I guess, to your point of, when people are driven to these extremes, there's going to be victims regardless. Some people just fall into those traps. If it's not gonna, if someone else is going to make this money, why can't it be me?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Yoshi obviously gets caught in that trap.
Yeah.
And cinematically, it makes for an incredible exercise here. But I think thematically speaking, like, those ideas are really well layered into the film as well,
Yeah.
in really different and interesting ways. Yeah, I love it. This is a really good movie.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and I just want to shout out the cinematography here because,
Mm,
Yoshi is such a character that he's so cold to everyone around
yeah.
him, and there's one shot in particular that really stuck out to me. It was when one of the people from his past, he's wearing like a mask or a bag over his head, eyes cut
Oh
out,
my gosh.
and
Yeah.
he's standing in like a field of like uh recently turned brown leaves with barren trees behind him. It's blue, it's chilly looking out outside,
Mhm.
and it just perfectly matches like the vibe that you get from Yoshi. And
Mhm.
I and even the, costuming design too, how they're all just, like, all bundled up, it's cold, you can't really tell what
Mhm.
time of year it is,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to shout that out too because any frame in this film could be paused, and it's just perfectly
It's
manicured.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfectly
Yeah.
manicured. There's usually a lot of people in one frame, but it allows you to see the small moments and observe them as long as you're paying attention. There's clues in the backgrounds and the
Yeah.
characters' faces. And I think that the cinematographer captures it. I think his last name is Sasaki, captures it just stunning in this film.
Yeah, I agree. Really well shot, well edited. I mean, for a film that is 123 minutes long, it is such a slow burn through two-thirds of it. Yet I feel like it flows effortlessly. I never found myself looking at my watch. I was never tempted to grab my phone. Like,
Mm-mm.
it's a film that keeps you extremely engaged. So certainly a shout out to the editing as well. Yeah, it's really well crafted across the board. Do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Um, no, other than just if you have the option to see it, definitely check it out. I don't know when it's coming to like streaming or VOD or anything,
Yeah.
but it's in theaters right now. It's definitely worth the price of a ticket and then some. And I'm really excited to check out the rest of his filmography. I uh I have them ordered on Criterion. Well, I have
Mm,
Cure on its way, so
nice. Really,
yeah.
really exciting stuff. Yeah, I definitely urge people to check this out. I don't know how many theaters it's going to go in. It's a film that I think would be awesome on the big screen.
Mhm.
But either way, definitely check it out whenever you get a chance. Certainly one of the better films that I've seen so far this year. I really loved it a lot. And do encourage people to go and check it out. If you agree or disagree with anything we had to say, please leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please reach out to us on social media, or you can email us in sessionfilm@gmail.com. Before we get out of here, Meg, once again, where can we find you on social media and your work online?
You can find me at WonderMeg with an underscore on basically all social platforms. You can find my writing at Wonder Watch List, In Session Film, and also A Shot Magazine.
Absolutely. And your review for this was on your website?
Yep, it's the most recent thing I've posted. So if you go to wonderwatchlist.com, it will be right there. It is a little spoilery, so if you don't want any spoilers, click on it but don't read it.
There you go. Yeah, definitely go and check that out. Really do appreciate you being here once again, Meg. And thanks for joining us for Fantastic Four once again as well.
Thank
it was
you.
great to have Meg on for both of these reviews this week. Speaking of our review for Fantastic Four, it is available right now. You can go and check that one out. Brennan was there for that one. We had a really great time talking about Marvel's latest. Episode 647 is also available. We talk about our top 10 non-MCU or pre-MCU, superhero movies. That was a great time. There's a new Women in Session coming out later this week as well, and bonus content. It's a really, really full week for the podcast. And of course, Dave and all the great writers over at In Session Film have a ton of great work coming out. Please go and check that out at InSessionFilm.com. With all of that said, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the In Session Film Podcast.